So we had to alter this video a little bit because we recorded most of it before that Pistons Celtics game that happened last night. And basically this video is just going to be hyping up the Celtics, talking about how Brad Stevens is just a complete genius for his offseason. There still will be some of that. I mean, they got the best record in the league, but after that game, it's obvious they're really good. They're contenders, but they got some flaws.
I mean, when you nearly lose to the Pistons and you're down by 20 at one point, I mean, I know Jaylen Brown didn't play, but goddamn, that's a horrible look. And like, it's making us wonder, like, Celtics are great, they're contenders, but can you trust them?
Before we start talking about the red-hot Boston Celtics, please give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on any new videos.
Just want to point out before we start the rest of this video, we were trying to think of something to do for Friday, and you came up with this idea. Notable Celtics hater Knicks lover Ben was like, let's do a Celtics hype video for Friday, and I was like, really?
Really?
Yeah, I waited this long, no videos about them in the offseason, haven't talked about them so far, but at this point, especially what they've done recently against these teams in California, it's been undeniable. We had to talk about it. And that starts in the offseason because the Boston Celtics had a busy-ass offseason. First was the Kristaps Porzingis trade. They acquired Porzingis, and they sent out Marcus Smart, Danilo Gallinari, Mike Muscala, and a second-round pick. And not only did they get Porzingis, they got 2 first-round picks. They got the 25th overall pick from the Grizzlies, and they got the Warriors pick this year that they used in a later deal. They absolutely fleeced this move.
Look, I know defense, especially at the guard position, is like somewhat of a rarity in the NBA nowadays. Like, those kind of players are really valuable. Marcus Smart is not even close to that vibe. I don't know what the the Grizzlies were thinking here.
Next big move is extending Jaylen Brown. This, it was an overpay for sure.
It's 100% an overpay.
5 years, $304 million, the largest contract in NBA history. But you're in the Celtics position. Do you really have a choice?
It's either that or let him walk for nothing.
Yeah, or let him walk, and you can't let him walk. I mean, him and Tatum, they've come up a little bit short in the playoffs before, but they've been there for years. They've played together for years. You had to extend them.
One move that kind of sucked for them was they lost Grant Williams to the Mavericks in a sign and trade. It netted them a few second-round picks, but their big final move, I think, made up for it because they picked up Jrue Holiday after the Blazers traded Dame to the Bucks, and obviously we weren't going to hold on to Jrue, so we flipped him for Malcolm Brogdon, Robert Williams. The Warriors picked this upcoming year and an unprotected pick in 29. I mean, just a phenomenal offseason. I mean, you essentially swap out what? Brogdon, Robert Williams, Marcus Smart for Holiday and Porzingis.
Yeah. 2 all-star level players. They didn't have to break up Tatum and Brown. They kept that core together. They didn't have to trade Derek White, and they acquired those guys. A++ for Brad Stevens this offseason.
So is this the best starting lineup we've seen since, like, the KD Steph Warriors? Because they don't even count, because, like, they were way too good. But outside of them, what's better?
Yeah, I don't really know. Maybe the Heat, just because of the star power. I can't really think of anything like Shaq and Kobe we really didn't even see. But just in terms of, like, a balanced starting 5, there's no weakness there. They're 15-1 when the starting lineup plays. First, you got Jason Tatum, obviously all-NBA level guy, one of the top 5 to 10 players in the league. Jaylen Brown, all-star level player. But outside of that, like, who is the worst player in this starting lineup?
I mean, Derek White, but I'm seeing chatter on Twitter now that apparently he's an all-star.
Yeah, exactly. Like, is it Jrue Holiday, who has won a championship before and is one of the greatest perimeter defenders ever? Is it Porzingis, one of the better shooting bigs in this league that can almost shoot from half court and space to the floor? I don't know. There's no weakness whatsoever there.
Now, their bench, questionable at best. Well, actually pretty bad. They're dead last in bench scoring at 26.5 points per game. I mean, they got Al Horford, who's always going to be, like, consistent, but he's old as hell. And after that, I mean, Sam Hauser's a decent shooter. Shout out Oregon alum Peyton Pritchard. But after that, there's not much.
Really, they need to bolster this bench in the buyout market. Who knows who's going to pop up in the buyout market? It's always random every year. But the one name, how about Gordon Hayward if he got bought out?
Oh, that'd be fun.
Coming back to Boston, I think that would be a great fit.
I'd love that. Gordo getting a second chance in Boston.
Yeah, make things right. Maybe he could get a title after he had to shatter his leg in half. Like, that would be nice for him. So in case you've been living underneath a rock for the past 2 months, the Pistons are currently on a 28-game losing streak. Well, it was 27 going into their game against the Celtics last night, and it really looked like they were going to end that losing streak. They were up by 21 points at one point in the third quarter. Everything was looking great, and then they get outscored by 19 in the third quarter, and they end up losing to overtime. Prayers to Pistons fans. I don't even know what to say at this point. It's just so sad.
Someone check on Crispy Flakes.
Right. I hope that guy is doing at least okay.
Ugh. I mean, a heroic effort by the Pistons, but if you're the Celtics, what the f is that? Look, Jaylen Brown is out. He's a big deal. That's fine. Highest paid player in NBA history. But I don't care. You should be able to win this game easily.
Yeah, this game emphasized some of the problems we've talked about. Mainly the bench. 19 points off the bench is insane. You got outscored by the Pistons bench by 11.
Also, they got bodied on the boards too.
They did.
Pistons out-rebounded them badly. And if you look at the Celtics, they got big players. I mean, Porzingis and Al Horford are both huge, but neither of them at this point are great rebounders. So, that's something to watch out for. But I'm going to chalk this game up to just being an outlier because they were so dominant on that California road trip. It did begin with them losing to the Warriors in OT, but then they blew the out of the Kings, blew out the Clippers, who are on that winning streak, by the way, and they beat the Lakers.
Yeah, they've just been dominant. That Warriors game is a bit shaky, and for some reason, the Warriors just have their number. I don't know what it is, but they're probably not going to play the Warriors in the finals, so I wouldn't worry about it. And then the Kings, 144 to 119. You're like, okay, 144. That's a lot of points. They won't do it again.
And the Kings can't play defense.
The Kings can't play any defense. Then they drop 145 on a hot Clippers team.
Not just a hot Clippers team, a red hot
really
Clippers
hot. I know
team.
Kawhi didn't play, but I don't care. 145. They weren't winning that game. I watched the first part of it, doing some last minute Christmas shopping. And then after the first quarter, Tatum was hitting step back threes. I'm like, okay, I can turn this off.
And then the Lakers on Christmas Day. I was watching this game from my living room, and I gotta admit that the entire game, especially when the Celtics started to pull away late, I was like, Ben's pissed right now.
I was. Unlike other teams that made big moves in the past, I mean, we've seen it with Suns, we've seen it with the Heat back in the day. There's been no adjustment period. It's just been seamless. Like we said earlier, 15-1 when their starting lineup plays together. They just fit in so well. It's kind of like the Nuggets, a perfectly constructed starting five.
And I want to give a quick little shout out to Joe Mazzulla as the head coach, because he was facing some heat last year after they got knocked out of the playoffs by the 8th seeded Heat. People were wondering, is he the guy? Is he as good as Ime? He's done a great job this year.
Yeah, right now he's up there Coach of the Year candidates early on. So now let's wrap this up and say, do you trust this Celtics team? Because basically ever since that 2018 conference finals where Tatum dunked on Braun, they were the next team up. It was in a couple years, once Tatum and Brown are older, they're going to win some championships. Then in 2019, Kyrie comes back, they got worked by the Bucks. The next year, they make it to the conference finals, lose to the Heat in the bubble. The following year, the Nets' big three just gave them the work. In 2022, they make the finals, they have a 2-1 lead. And then Steph just goes off for the rest of the series. And who could forget last year? They made it to the conference finals. It looked like they might finally win that championship with this core. You go down 0-3 to the Heat, come all the way back in Game 7 and get blown out. So can we really trust this team?
I mean, I can't. I didn't trust him before, and that Pistons game last night is giving me big time pause. I mean, this Celtics team, they're so damn good on paper, but I don't know, just Jason Tatum, I never really fear him that much. I never really worry that he's going to go off. Maybe it's because I'm not a 76ers fan, right. So I don't got to worry about that, but I don't know. I'm not really worried about him still.
Yeah, before that Pistons game, I was ready to anoint this team as the favorites, the best team in the league. But then you put up that, there's just something about him. I cannot fully trust this Celtics team until they actually get it done.
I mean, it's one game, but that performance against the Pistons was so bad. You got to reevaluate.
You do. So what do you guys think? Are the Boston Celtics your favorites to win the title right now? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, please consider giving a like. And hey, while you're here, check out some of our other content as well. And don't forget to subscribe to Synthetic Sports.